I have several little projects I want to do around here. We sourced some new rugs that will make our home feel more cozy and inviting. We have some artwork that we still haven't hung up. It has been collected over a lot of years from our old original farmhouse to our house in town. A lot of it sat in storage because we were living in a temporary home and we didn't really want to take the time to do that. I also have some window treatments and hardware that I want to put up. I also want to show you our staircase that is finally finished. Well, it's finished except for the painting and the staining coming soon. And I thought this would make a great opportunity to talk about some of the things that make our new build feel old. There are a lot of little details that come together when making something new look old, and it also takes extra time and lots of collections. So this week, I'll take you along as we complete a few things and talk about a time-worn and collected country home. One of the things that I feel makes our new house look old is architectural salvage pieces, things that we have collected. If you're ever planning to build a new house that looks old, you can start working on that now, even if it's going to be years down the road that you're going to build. Because what I've found in building our new old house is that suddenly you're in a pinch. Say, for example, the electrician is there and you need all of your light fixtures, or the electrician is there even sooner during framing and you want a certain fixture in a certain spot and it needs to be wired in right now. And if you don't have that picked out, it can make it challenging to visualize what you're going to put in that place. Whereas if you are already designing this thing in your head, even if it's years down the road, you have the bandwidth to slowly collect over time some of these pieces. I would say for me, I did a decent job of this, but there were still times where I chose something just quickly because I didn't already have something picked out, and I already feel like those are the pieces in my home that distract from the character. So one example of this, we're putting up this old light fixture. I actually did have this sourced for a long time, but throughout construction, it broke. So I sent it to Archie Antiques to repair it. They did a great job. Thankfully, with all of our old fixtures, it was the only one that bit the dust and all of the shuffling around between houses during construction. I'm thankful that's the only thing that broke, and it wasn't even the glass. It was just the metal piece. But I think this just looks wonderful here at the top of our staircase, which was recently completed. So another place where I wanted the house to look old, but it was really tricky because each floor plan is so different. It's very difficult to fit an architectural salvage staircase into a new build unless it's a very straightforward, straight staircase, which ours is certainly not. So throughout this build process, I looked into getting architectural salvage staircase parts and pieces, and even the entire staircase at one point I thought I could maybe make work. And I realize now just how difficult that would have been unless the house was designed around a certain staircase. So there again, if you had collected a staircase prior to beginning the planning phase of your build, I could see how that could totally work. I did not do that. And so I did the next best thing, I guess. I found a wonderful seller on Etsy who makes newel posts, and he made these beautiful old looking newel posts. I have a post over on my blog, or a page, where I talk about the build and the sourcing for anything that isn't architectural salvage, and you could actually just get a link, and I link that Etsy shop over there. But these are actually made to look old, yet work with a modern, newly built staircase. Another detail that mattered a lot to me when I looked at books of old houses and their staircases, not all, definitely not all, but in the style that I wanted, was the bottom of the balusters being round. I was able to find that at JMP Wood. They just sell them. They're not custom or anything like that. And I think that they really help make our staircase look old. We also added in a few pie shapes going up because our staircase has a couple of turns in it, because we did finish the third story, the attic space. Making those turns with pie shapes as opposed to square landings is something that I feel draws the eye upward and gives it an old feel. We found a local staircase builder who was able to do all of this. He's been building stairs, I think he said 30 years. And so it really wasn't a big deal for him to do that. I asked him how hard it was and he said it doesn't really take him much more time. So I'm glad it's a detail that we pushed for. We are definitely settling into our new farmhouse and completing it one project at a time. By the end of summer, we'll be able to dive fully into our homeschool routine. We like to be involved in our children's education, and summer is a great time to brush up on the skills that they learned the previous school year. Whether your kids go to school or are homeschooled, there are plenty of opportunities to be involved as a parent, and IXL is the perfect tool to do so. Thanks to IXL for sponsoring today's video. IXL is an online learning program designed to help each child reach their potential no matter their level or skills. They offer interactive practice for math, science, language arts, and social studies. They offer clear explanations to help students correct mistakes so they can improve their skills and level up. There are lessons from pre-K all the way up to calculus, and everything is organized by grade, subject, and topic, making it super simple to find the support your child needs. One of my favorite features on IXL is recommendations. As your child practices, IXL recommends specific skills that will help your child build missing foundations or take the next step with what they've been learning. It is tailor-made for each student. I also love that IXL offers video tutorials made by educators that break down topics in ways that kids can easily understand. If, as a parent, you lack the confidence in a certain subject, the video tutorials really help to break it down so both you and them understand. I also like that IXL offers interactive games. These are a fun little break when learning new skills, and kids love them. Put math and language art skills to the test with puzzles, quests, and other games. It is important for us to be involved in our children's education, and IXL is a tool that can really help with this goal. IXL is offering Farmhouse on Boone viewers a 30% discount off your first year or your first month with my link in the description box below. Thanks again, IXL, for sponsoring today's video. Another thing that I think makes our house look old is we went with heart pine flooring, and it is getting darker and more orange over time, which is exactly what I wanted. I wanted it to have that orange feel. I didn't want it to be gray. I wanted it to feel warm, cozy, inviting. Now, heart pine flooring is quite hard. It's almost at the level with oak, but it still takes on a patina, especially with 9 kids running around here. But that's the look I was hoping for. Even if you're not building a home and you have no intention of adding moldings around windows or putting in heart pine flooring, you can add a collected look, a time-worn look, by collecting art pieces over the years. A subscriber reached out and asked if she could paint a picture of my son. I had a photo of him holding a chicken. It was at our old property. She just sent it. It is absolutely stunning. And I love things like this, things that are personalized to your home. I also have a couple of paintings that are from my friend Sarah Jo from Briarton Farm, and one of them is of our new home here. It's a watercolor of our new home and barn. Another is from our previous farmhouse, to always remember what that place was to us. And then most of the art are just things that I find pretty and that I collect over time. So my daughters and I were at an antique shop recently, and I found a tapestry that is a lovely shape and color. I thought it would look wonderful in our living room. So we're hanging that up today, as well as a couple of paintings that I have just found over the years. I don't even remember where. Antique shops, thrift shops. I try to collect things. I want to do a couple of gallery walls going up the staircase, but that will just take collecting more art over the years. It can't be rushed. Anytime I rush something like that, I find that I end up with something that's a little sterile looking. It doesn't have that charm. Another collection that I've built over the years that has really helped all of our homes to have a collected, warm, country, cozy feel is rugs. After living in this house several weeks, there's a few places where it became apparent that a rug would just look so nice. And I've come across for a few of these spots. I still have several more spots that I want to find rugs for, but I did find one for in between the island and the range, and also for the sunroom. I have never experienced a situation where an old rug doesn't make the room look better. So I am always on the lookout for that. Another thing that makes a home feel like it's been there a while, like people have loved it for many years, is adding the right window treatments. If you've been following along with our house build, you may know that in order to make the home look historic, we wanted it to look like there were additions. So we made a mirror image of the front porch onto the back porch, like it was a home that was built many years ago with 2 porches, but then we added windows in order to make it look like it was a windowed in back porch to add some square footage. So one of those spaces is our bathroom. So we have a lot of windows, which I absolutely love. We live in the country, we have no neighbors at all, so we really can still use our bathroom, but I do think that it will look nice. And of course, we have lots of kids running around. I always thought it would be nice to have some curtains in here. It just took a little time to get to it. And so that's a project we wanted to tackle. Now, in the past, I've only had a window or 2 that I wanted the inside mount curtain rods for, like in our guest bath. I showed recently that we did some gingham curtains in there with inside mount curtain rods. Well, since we have so many windows in this room, I was kind of determined to find a less expensive option. Turns out you can make these inside mount rods for significantly cheaper than buying them already cut. Essentially, all you're doing is taking brass tubing, and they sell the little brackets on Amazon, and just cutting it to the right size. It's like the same exact quality. I will add those links to the blog post about this house, and I'll leave that link below. But I'm really glad I discovered this trick because I want to add little beautiful cafe curtains to so many windows in our home to give it a country charm and some privacy as well. Now, this room already has some fun colors. We have green gingham, clip-on lampshades. There's an antique rug. There's a yellow clawfoot tub. So I just went with a simple linen curtain that wouldn't necessarily distract from the beautiful windows, but just give a subtle beauty. But curtains are a great way to add pattern and color in a room where you don't have a lot of that, and can really add to that time-worn, collected country home look. My oldest daughters love to sew and they love to go thrifting, and they recently picked up for me some great fabrics that I'm going to incorporate in other areas of our home in the form of pillows or curtains. Again, you can't substitute taking your time and collecting things over years. It does not come together in a day or a weekend. I'm always looking through design books, and what I find interesting is I can look through the same design book 100 times and notice different things based on what I am currently thinking about. So if I am thinking about fabrics, I notice those small details, and usually this process helps open my eyes to things that I would maybe look past thinking, oh, that's not the kind of style that I like. But then when I see a room all put together, I notice that it's a collection of a lot of little things that I maybe wouldn't have thought went together, a lot of different patterns and colors, and yet they do. One of the fabrics they found me is a red toile, which I would have been hesitant to use in the past, but a little red in each room really works, I'm finding. Another little detail that I wanted to add into our new old house was transom windows, or a few transom windows. We ended up getting 3. I probably could have put one over the pantry and that would have been pretty, but there's one over the front door, one over the back door, and then we have an operable transom in the back hall. People have asked me what's the point of a transom window there, and honestly, it's just for looks because there's no door here. This is just supposed to look like an old entrance. If this mudroom used to be the back porch and then it got windowed in, this is where the old entrance would have been in my made up story of this old house. And so that's why I wanted the transom there, to really designate it as an old entryway, or a back porch entry, but an exterior door essentially. And to really sell that point, I wanted to get some transom window hardware just to add another touch, another detail. Now, I ordered this last December. It was on major back order. I thought it just got lost and I was never going to get it. I didn't know what was happening. And it recently was delivered to our old house where we lived before, and I got my hands on it. and I'm having Luke actually install it because, again, I think it's those little details that make such a big difference. Another little detail, I've mentioned this in prior videos, but that I think helps to make the entire story of an old house is I went with cast iron grates for our cold air returns and all of our vents on the floor. I really think it is a collection of small details like that. We also went with unlacquered brass hardware that will age in patina over time and marble countertops. Now, I've had a few questions about how they are holding up, and I will just tell you, if you want your countertops to look perfect a year from now, and that's important to you, do not go with marble. We already have 2 massive chips. I did one of them. I don't know who did the other. I haven't yet asked my daughter if she did it. I'm sure she did because it's really just one of my daughters and myself that do most of the cooking. We have big, heavy cast iron Dutch ovens, and I know that's what did the one that I did. And then our island is full of etching, like vinegar spills, lemon juice spills. And I'll tell you that I love the look even more, but I went in knowing that that is what I wanted. I wanted it to patina, to tell a story, and that's the same with the pine flooring, with the unlacquered brass hardware, with pretty much everything. Everything's gonna get dinged up in a house with a large family that doesn't really baby anything. We kind of just let it happen, and thankfully that's the look I love, because if not, I'd be really stressed. Another little tiny detail is every time I walk past this closet door by the stair door, the white doorknob just drives me nuts because most of the doorknobs in this space are darker and have a bit more patina. And I know this is probably one of those things that I should just be like, oh, it's an old house, it should not match. But today I'm going to swap the inside. So the doorknob that is on the back of the basement door and the back of the closet door are just going to get swapped, and these will match now. As you live in a house, there are certain things that you notice, and a lot of them can be changed in creative ways. Our sunroom is a place where we have coffee in the morning, we enjoy the view. Because of that, a lot of books have collected in this space, and I've been looking for the perfect piece to house those books, and recently I found one on Facebook Marketplace. That's another way to make a house look collected, is just simply by collecting things over the years. I have done so many Facebook Marketplace runs, antique shop hauls and runs, from hutches to armoires and chairs, like on our front porch. I recently found a bunch of chairs to go around the table that was also a Facebook Marketplace find, a little tiny rocking chair that I found for my son at an antique shop. I'm just always collecting, and really homes come together over years of, a quick stop in when you're in town into an antique shop, you find one thing. Over time, that builds up. It might just be 1 or 2 things each time you go, but then over the years, it all really comes together. So if you are a young homeowner, you feel like your house looks boring, just know that this is an endeavor, years in the making. As I stock our new cabinet with books, I have a list of a few more details that make our 2026 house look old. And if you follow along with our channel, you've seen them throughout. I have featured all of them in one video or another, but just to give you a few more ideas in this video: antique plumbing fixtures. We have old bathtubs, sinks. 2 of our pedestal sinks came from Beautiful Bathtub, and our restored yellow clawfoot also came from Beautiful Bathtub. I have them linked on that page on my website that I talked about. Another just random small detail, I don't know if I've talked about this much, but the case opening that goes from our entryway into our kitchen is 10 inches wide, and it really does make such a statement. I love those kind of details. And all it really took was, during framing, putting in a 2x10 at that spot. Historic color palette. My friend Anne from Storied in Tears on Instagram helped me with that. We made sure to add some color and use historic colors. Tile patterns. So when we did the penny tile in the bathrooms, we added in a little pattern. Antique medicine cabinets. During framing, we had a few that were recessed. something you see in an old house, a small detail, but a big impact. The columns on our front porch make a big impact. Those are from Chadsworth columns. But again, if you collect ahead of time and you can find enough of the same ones, if you're not in a pinch, another great place to give the exterior of the home that old house look. Right, well, I hope that I've given you some ideas for how to make a new build look old, or just how to have a collected country style home, even if you're not starting from scratch. And I'm glad that we were able to check a few more things off our list. It's just a little bit each week. Thank you so much for stopping by our farmhouse.